This is Lama Surya Das, whom I'm very happy to share the camera with.
Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Jai Maharaji. I love singing. Maharaji taught me to sing, really, and I can never sing except I'm right in front of him. He's right in front of me, which is really why I do it. Devotional chant, prayer, communing with the Guru, portal to the Absolute, to the highest, is so delightful, so beautiful, and it really opened my heart. Otherwise, I'd really be a dry and kind of desiccated intellectual Buddhist, which Ram Dass is always ragging me and nagging me about. But since I met Maharaji in ancient times, I think it was the winter of 1972, then he opened my heart the first time I met him, and he jumped inside and he pulled the doors closed after him so I could never get him out. Even though with the Guru, there are many ups and downs and ins and outs, and one has doubts, one has questions, one has many twists and turns to go through on the spiritual path. But the Guru is always there, and that's a marvelous, miraculous thing, and that's really changed and transformed my life. Even the first time I met Maharaji at Dada's house in Allahabad, where the three great rivers of India meet, the Ganga, Yamuna, underground, invisible Saraswati, at the Triveni. When I first met Maharaji alone in his bedroom with Dada translating, and Maharaj, he didn't speak English, I didn't speak Hindi. He gave me a banana as prasad, as blessed food, as manna. And I thought, being 21 years old and a whippersnapper, I hate bananas. What's this? It's the only food I don't like. And he's giving me a banana. There must be some deep meaning in this. Anyway, I had my darshan, my first heart-to-heart, really, resuscitation with Maharaji. And afterwards, I came out of the room and I gave that banana to one of our Guru brothers. And he said, Maharaji gave that to you, you're giving it away? And then he cut it up and he gave it as blessings to everybody else. So that was just one of the many funny little leelas or divine dances or plays that Maharaji played with me and with us. But it goes on to this day. And for those of you who may not have met Maharaji in the flesh, I like to say that although I was with him on and off for a few years before he had his Mahasamadhi and passed away, as we would say in English, I didn't understand him much then. I was so young and didn't know what was going on. But I met him more in the years and decades afterwards through the satsang, through the love of the satsang, our true fellowship among us. And Maharaji was so present, and he's always with us, and I always feel that he's always with me and in my heart, the constant companion. And I invite you and I welcome you, and I feel so glad that you're welcoming me here into this sacred, really, circle of gold, of better than gold, circle of trust, circle of love, which is better than anything. Ram Dass, you had something to do with Maharaji. You have any stories or anything left?
Well, he once gave me a mango, and I took it into the bathroom and And so I wouldn't
Have to share it? That's the difference between us. What else did he give you? I know that he gave you a lot, or you received a lot. Let's put it like that. He was always shining, transpersonally.
Yep. Well, he once we went to the apple farm, and then we forest house up way up in the hills.
In the hills?
Yeah, and he invited me into the room, and he beckoned me, and then he said, "Do you like to feed children?" I said, "Yeah." And he tapped me on the head, and and the people on the outside, they said that I came out as red in the face, and I think that was an initiation of some sort. I don't think I think this is called feeding children.
So could we say you've been feeding us children and many ever since?
Yeah.
And that feels good.
Yeah. And
So Maharaji left this world, had his Mahasamadhi or Jiva Mukti. He was a liberated soul. He, let's say, returned to God, from which he was never separate, no doubt, in 1973 in the full moon in autumn. And we went there, many of us, for the funeral afterwards in Vrindavan, Krishna city in India. And since that time, of course, a lot of our friends, old and young, have passed away. And these days, many of us are getting older and attending or taken care of or preparing for death or our mate's death, or, of course, most of us gone through our parents' deaths and so on. What are your thoughts about that? In fact, you may be even thinking about that and preparing for that as your beard gets like longer and whiter, I've noticed, and you're starting to look like my childhood image of God up sitting on the, no, not shaky, God, powerful, all-powerful, that wrathful Yahweh, not so wrathful, sitting on the clouds. What are you thinking about and preparing for? And also, how can people prepare for helping their loved ones approach that great mystery, and of course themselves, and go through that?
I teach a course in San Francisco. I teach with a Skype. And I teach to people who want to be at the bedside of dying people. And I think of an image, the person in bedside is a rock so that they can push against it. And then a loving rock, and the person has to be done of their sadhana so that they will be identified with their own soul. Then they can be there with the person.
The dying person, on
Yeah.
a soul level, let's say.
Because the dying is ego to soul. And I sort of see that as sadhana, ego and soul. And I think that sadhana and dying are so close together, together.
That's interesting. I can relate to that. You mean like in daily sadhana or practice or day to day, you really die into it and you're not yourself as much as soul anymore.
Yeah.
You're making that transference even here. So
Yeah.
letting go and being in it, surrendering to the oversoul and your own soul merging with the oversoul that's always there on the way to God in daily life.
You know, you don't know, but I'm reading the literature of death experiences, people, and some of these are so poignant and so vivid. And they then go and they become their soul, and then they go into soul land. And soul land is not like this land because there's no time and space. Soul land is infinite. And they can, a soul can make it anything they want by their projections. By making it heaven or hell or all the gods or the Tibetans. Well, you know what the Tibetans do.
Yeah. I want to mention that. The gods and the other. There's actually an entire genre of stories, tales, and literature in Tibetan Buddhism called the Daylok, literature Daylok, returners from the other side,
Yeah.
about people who have had what today we might call near-death experiences,
Yeah.
NDA or other things, you know, like the doctor who just wrote the book Proof of Heaven, which
Yeah.
is worth reading if you like, are interested in these things, who sort of came back from close to dead went down the corridor of light in the deepest form of coma before you die and things like that. And these Daylokes, one of them was the mother of a Lama who lived in the West Coast in America for a long time, Chakdu Rinpoche. So a very respectable, family, people we sort of knew. I didn't know her, but I knew him. And she came back from the other side, and they have a lot of stories to tell about who they met there and what those people are experiencing, for good or ill, based on what they did in this life. So however much you take this, like literally or metaphorically, the message is still there about what we do now karmically matters very much for how things go later. And what goes around comes around. We reap what we sow, and the law of karma, that good reproduces good, and the opposite. So I think that's a really interesting message, and something we can all think about, how we can be more in soul land now. Even like you, as you're getting older, I can feel that you're in this world, but less of it, and more in soul land.
I do hope so. Hey, those Tibetan images,
Mm-hmm.
that is they paint these images in Soul Land, because Soul Land isn't it's a blank slate.
I don't know if it's a blank slate, but anything is possible. Like in our dreams, anything is possible. But really, also like in our daydream, anything is possible. But we feel a little more bound in this thick reality. So in Soul Land, like in our dreams, things are a little less material and more in the clear light, or the conscious or mental realm. The Tibetans call it you're in your mental body, or your light mind, not your heavy body, material body. So anything is more possible. And if you're more awake in that, like lucid dreaming, if you're awake in your dreams, it's easier to play with your dreams and make positive things happen rather than be victim of conditions and circumstances, more master of conditions and circumstances in your dreams, preparatory to in the bardo, or the in-between afterlife. So
what is that?
We can awaken in Soul Land and know that we're souls, and that we can be totally in the positive, in the light, in the higher, in the deeper, in the oneness, however you want to look at it, rather than just blown by the winds of karmic conditioning in that direction. The winds may be blowing, but we can sail and navigate better. That's the idea of awakening in the dream, awakening now in the daydream, awakening in meditation, samadhi, or awakening in the bardo after we die, in what you're calling Soul Land, in the light body, let's say, which is not a body, the consciousness.
We are light, and we're energy, and we're love, but what are they called?
NDEs, near-death experiences, where people come back.
When they see the great light, and they themselves are part of that. So we now, as human beings, we have that light in us.
So we are that even now.
Yes.
Whether we know it totally or not.
We're not talking one to another. We're talking to ourselves.
Soul to soul.
Soul to soul.
I like that, because the word soul can also mean one.
That's right.
But we have to be separate in order to commune and to mingle and to reunite, and then we know we're united, even though we've never been really truly separate. And I think that that's what the gurus introduce us to, the masters, as a portal to that totality. Our devotion, our love for them, and their way of seeing us as perfect. Seeing, like in Buddhism, we say they see the Buddha in us, or you might say they see the divine in us. Helps us see the divine in us.
Or they see the soul.
Right.
Maharaji said, sees the soul in us. And that's why he said to me, love everybody. That be the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to get me out of my ego, and my ego said, come on, Maharaji, I can't love everybody.
Especially not that one and that one.
Yeah.
That one's okay.
And he said, love everybody.
So how have you been doing with that for the last 40 years, I guess, or 45 years? What do you think?
As
an old professor, what's your grade?
As long as I see everybody as souls, I love everybody.
And what about yourself? How are you doing on the self-love and seeing yourself as a soul?
He is so magnificent.
Thus spake Ram Dass. Awesome. So since you mentioned Maharaji, telling you that and all, how do you think Maharaji looks at our, he said to you, feed the children, so he's feeding us all the time. We're his spiritual children. How do you think he looks at us and our path and our way of living in this world, if not entirely of it, and our soul life?
I think he looks at us as souls, and we are captivated by our human life or incarnation. But I don't think he is. I don't think he. I mean, he didn't know I was Jewish. And he keeps saying, my mother, your mother is very fond of Jesus. But my mother...
My mother's laughing up there at this story. My Jewish mother. We have to translate these things.
But he didn't, I'm teaching what he represented. And I'd love to say he likes it, but I'm wishful that he likes it.
I think he likes it, but I also feel that way and try to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Meaning, in that direction, that he would like it, in line with his sort of intent.
Yeah.
His direction.
He didn't words. It was.
Yeah.
We certainly.
He's not judging, but he's
Yeah.
We should be paying him back by paying it forward. That's the way I look at it.
That's right.
So paying it forward means in his ultra positive way.
Yeah.
Not just passing on the craziness of our times. He turned me on to Jesus. I grew up Jewish like you in the suburbs and all that, and was not very aware of or interested in or taught to read the New Testament and the Gospels. But in India, he used to talk about how Jesus and the other saints and serve all the saints and commonality and the heart of love and treating everyone equal, treating everyone as souls, as divine and all. And so that turned me on to Jesus. And when I was in India in 72, 73, I was reading the Gospels really for the first time. And I started to understand Jesus as a teacher, as a guru, as a master. Not just the Catholic Church Jesus that I, as a Jew, couldn't relate to. But that really, I started to understand Maharaji's love was like Jesus' love, like Buddha's love, universal, unconditional, all-inclusive
He said
love.
that Jesus was like Hanuman. And that's, Hanuman is Ishtadev, my Ishtadev. And he said that we should meditate like Jesus. And
How did Jesus meditate, Maharaji?
he loved her. He loved. He loved. He loved. Just loved. Loved.
He was lost in love.
Lost in love. And that is the one. That is the one. That is the one. I very very absorbed in consciousness and now Maharaji is a different plane of consciousness than we are. That's a different vibration. And that's the Atman, or the one. He's closer consciously. And that means he is all of it. Is that, is that, I mean, he's not a fellow soul. He's the one.
I think of him as like the oversoul, the undersoul,
yeah.
the whole, the sea that we are like bubbles in, sea all the way through, inside and out. But he's the big Maharaji, even not just the human Indian man who died.
Yes.
But the big Maharaji is the real guru, the oversoul. That's the way I think of it.
Yeah.
And that he's everywhere manifesting as everything in everything.
Then he is, this conversation is Maharaji is doing it internally.
So we're like gleams or echoes in Maharaji's eye, as they say?
I say we are fingers of Maharaji's consciousness.
Mm-hmm. I always say that we're like God's pseudopods, or Maharaji's like false appendages. We're part of him, but it kind of comes out and in from the same, like waves in the sea. So do you think that, what about our listeners and our whole circle here? Were they all fingers of Maharaji?
Yes,
he has more than 5 fingers?
Yes, you are.
He has a lot of fingers. What about all the animals, them too? Especially the cows, you know how Indians like cows.
And I'm
and the whales out there.
And I had your remarks last night. Cats, my God, you're.
And how I like dogs more than cats.
I'm a cat person, and you
took it hard?
Yes, because cats are consciousness.
Didn't Maharaji tell you not to be attached to dogs or cats?
No, he didn't say that. He said,
You know what I'm saying. Anyway, you know I was just joking. Why'd you take it so seriously? I think I caught you there. I pushed your buttons. So I was joking about how we love everyone, but I like dogs and not cats so much. It was just kind of funny to see our humanness amidst it all. We're all souls and we can talk about this oneness, but then, you know, like I like the Red Sox more than I hate the Yankees. It's part of Maharaji's Leela.
I like the Red Sox.
You see? So don't you think the Yankee fans that are listening are going to take that badly? I hope not.
If they can do what they want.
This is one of Maharaji's Leelas, I think, you know, the Leela of the one and the many, differentiation within the one, the oneness.
The Maharaji, he's got the Red Sox in him, and then the New York.
No.
No.
No. Don't talk like that, please. You'll give me a soul attack. Of course, Maharaji loves all the teams and laughs at all the children playing and all the fans arguing also with our little parochial local pride. Isn't that what the religionists are doing too, like rooting for their own team and forgetting that God loves all the teams and they're all his children and his league?
You know, there was a woman in your audience last night that she was fearful, but fearful that the world was going to...
Yeah, the dogs.
Huh?
Going to the dogs.
And I heard her, she was so fearful. And I thought that the fear, all the things of shooting and everybody is caught in fear. And she was caught in fear. And she wanted to cure the world. She shouldn't emanate fear. And what she should do is emanate love. I wanted to break in, but
I wish you had. I guess you didn't like my answer, so you should have broken in and straightened me out. As you did at breakfast this morning, and now you're bringing it up again. But yes, love is the answer, and love is all you need, as the Beatles sang, and as I spray painted on the white living room of my rented apartment in college, disregarding totally whatever the landlord might think about, you know, having this spray painted in black letters on the wall. But it's not a superficial thing.
Yeah.
Love is all there is, and we're born in love, and we live in love, and love doesn't come from outside. Love comes from loving. And I feel like myself more. I want to be more living like that, and living for love, let's say. One of my lamas actually has his project, the Dragon Lama Gyalwang Drukpa Rinpoche, his project, his 10-year mission around the world. His charity is called Live to Love.
Live to love.
And I thought for a Tibetan Lama to have that project and not some Sanskrit or Tibetan name or building project was a very good one. And he's educating the poorest villages and women of the Himalayas and things like that, really living to love.
Live to love.
Live to love. And by loving, we can truly live.
Yes.
And love is greater than death. Amen, as the book
that's
says.
good.
Isn't that deep?
Yeah, that's
love
good.
is greater than death.
Yeah.
And then no fear.
Yep. The soul knows that,
Mm-hmm.
and the humans
The ego
don't.
doesn't.
The ego doesn't.
So if I was going to push the boundaries here, I hope this is okay. Are you afraid of dying or going on to the unknown or the mystery? What could you say
No.
anything for us about that as our elder?
No, it looks tasty to me. I'm so old that I think about it now. I'm like these after death, these ends, and near death
Near-death
experiences.
experiences, NDEs.
I like them. I'm really. Oh boy.
Well, life is a near-death experience. So do you like that, or the near-death people? They came back. We don't hear so much about the ones that don't. That actually die, not nearly. I heard His Holiness the Dalai Lama say, and I know he said this more than once, often in a science symposium, he's fascinated with neuroscience and all that intersection of science and meditation, brain science, neurodharma as I call it today. He said he's looking forward to dying. He's very interested in watching what happens. That's more or less a quote. Doesn't that give you an interesting perspective? He's very interested in watching what happens. He doesn't say, I've done it before, or anything that, belief-eccentric. But I'm interested in seeing what happens. As usual, as now. Keeping your eyes peeled, your awareness alive.
That doctor,
who wrote Proof of Heaven? What's his name?
Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
He was a brain surgeon, and he thought that the brain and consciousness were one. And he was given this experience to show that this was not
The whole story.
true.
So when his brain shut down, he was still there. Something, the spirit was still there, the soul.
So I wonder what do you think the Dalai Lama is sticking around with brains? I mean, studying brains.
Well, that's not all he does. I mean, he's a bit of a science nerd. That's what he likes. Like he says, I don't get art, I don't really get sculpture, but I like science. And if science proves something about Buddhist theory is wrong, then we must accept that science is right.
Oh,
says.
Jesus. Oh,
That's a big statement.
God.
I don't know that I've heard any pope say that. But anyway, he doesn't just hang out with the brains. I mean, that's one of his many,
Yeah.
convocations that he gets into. But I think he's also helping the Westerners and the scientists relate to, widening concentric circles of understanding. Science is a good gateway for them. Like health is a good gateway for many of us Americans today to come
What
into
is?
health,
Health?
to come into yoga, to come
Yeah.
into meditation for health. And then there are deeper levels. It's a good gateway
Yeah.
into the spirit. Yoga for health. And then, there's 8 limbs of yoga, not just physical yoga, because yoga means union. So I think that's one reason he's involved in those things. But I think we all have to think about dying, and we know we'll all die, although I can hardly believe it. It's hard to believe. But who among us shall truly live? How shall we live to love? Or how can we be more enlivened and enlightened today and together? I think that's a big question.
Yeah,
together,
that's an
awakening together,
interesting
not just
together.
self-growth and self-help.
Together.
Together.
That's
The Wizard of Us.
That's satsang.
Mm-hmm.
Together in truth. In truth.
In truth, like this,
Yeah.
on the soul level, etc.
The ones are hearing this or watching this are satsang. They are truth seekers. But we shouldn't be together like in nation states or things like that. Those would be together in ego,
Mm-hmm.
but they're together in soul.
In consciousness
In
states.
consciousness. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you feel today you are most coming more fully into consciousness? And does that have anything to do with your guru and the path of bhakti, of devotion,
All I
or
know
of
is
seva, service?
I lead from my heart. Lead from my heart. And I want to, my identification from the ego, that was my psychology days, and to the spiritual heart. This trip from here to here, this is death. This is sadhana. And I think I do it from using the phrase, I am loving awareness.
I am loving awareness.
And loving awareness in the center of your heart, center of your center.
Can I be loving awareness too? I like that. I am loving awareness. Can we all be loving awareness?
Yes.
Is there room for us all in that?
Is yet.
Soul, infinite soul land?
I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness.
I am loving awareness.
I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. And then I think loving awareness is a different plane of consciousness, so that I am is
Goes.
loving awareness, and the words are a signpost.
Means that goes to. Eventually, that sort of goes to.
It goes to. You just feel it. Feel it. Loving awareness.
In the heart space,
Yeah.
the soul land. That's a beautiful journey,
Yeah.
pilgrimage from here to here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and through here to everywhere. Everything, everyone.
Loving awareness. Loving awareness. Loving awareness. Why don't we meditate for the rest of this program? Meditate middle of your chest. You attend to that. Loving awareness. Loving awareness. Loving awareness. Loving awareness. 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 Loving awareness. Wow. This is togetherness. Together in loving awareness. Togetherness all over the world. All over the world. Loving awareness. Each of us feels the presence of all of us. Presence. Presence. Now attend to your breath. Your out-breath radiate love. Your in-breath unconditional love to you from the universe. Radiate. Draw in the unconditional love that is the universe, that is the one, that is you. That is us. Radiate and draw in unconditional love. With the breath. We are in the ocean of love. We are in the one. We are souls, beings of light. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.